Welcome to Math Mini Lessons. This is Sarah and we're at lesson 52, two-step equations with decimals and fractional numbers. Our CFS isn't very different than the last one. I want you to make sure you're watching how we write an equation with that ax plus b equals c form. At this point, you should be recognizing the ax as a rate and a b as a constant. Your c is just your second expression. Watch to see how we turn that constant, that b, into 0 using 0 pairs and inverse operations. And look to see how we isolate that variable, how we separate that a from that x. In most cases, it will be division and dividing by that coefficient a. And then check to see how we're consistently checking over our work using substitution, taking whatever solution we get, going back to the beginning and checking to see if it does make a true equation. Here's our first problem. Miss Garland bought X number of shirts for the new members of the chorus. The cost for X number of shirts, including $3.99 shipping, was $77.49. Each shirt cost $12.25. How many shirts did she purchase? So they're basically asking us to create an equation for this scenario and calculate how many shirts were purchased. That's basically it. We want to figure out what the X is. We know how much the shirts cost. Every single shirt was $12.25, so that's a constant rate. We know the shipping was $3.99, and that's a shipping fee, meaning it's a one-time fee for everything you buy. We don't know the number of shirts, so that's going to be our variable, but we do know the total purchase was $77.49. So just from here, we can recognize our A, B, and C. So here's our plan. You're going to see me write an equation that represents that scenario in AX plus B equals C form. I'm going to start with that unknown, and to solve for it, I'm going to isolate that variable, meaning starting with the B, getting rid of it with a 0 pair, and then I'm going to separate that A and that X. Most likely, I'm going to be using division to isolate that variable, and then checking my work. Hit pause so you can jot down the steps of this plan. Okay, so we have our key information. We know we're writing this in AX plus B equals C form. So let's start with our AX, which is the cost per shirt. And we know that is $12.25x. Plus our constant is the shipping, the $3.99. That doesn't change no matter how many shirts. And our total cost for this is $77.49. So we have our entire equation already set. Perfect. So let's start evaluating this and solving for x. We're going to make a 0 pair of our constant, so minus $3.99 on both sides. And I do have our calculator with us so that we're not spending a lot of time on some calculations and to decrease error. So we have $73.50 on this side and $12.25x on the other. And now we're going to divide by our coefficients. Divide by 12.25. 12.25 to solve for x. So 73.50 divided by 12.25 equal to 6. X is equal to 6. 6 what? 6 shirts. Let's check our work. And we have 12.25x plus $3.99 equals $77.49. Substitute 12.25 times 6 plus $3.99 for shipping is $77.49. Perfect. So we're going to start by multiplying first. 12.25 times 6 is $73.50. And notice how even when I use a calculator, I capture my work. Plus $3.99 equals to $77.49. And my last step is to add $73.50 plus $3.99. And I get $77.49. So our work is correct. X is equal to 6. So let's make sure we put that in our final answers by restating. How many shirts did she purchase? Miss Gartland purchased 6 shirts. This is where I go a little extra. For $12.25 each. With $3.99 shipping. The total was $77.49. Period. Hit pause and jot this one down into your notes. For guided practice, let's get some fluency going. We're just going to solve these 2 quick equations. We're going to solve for the variable. In other words, isolate the variable. So negative 3x plus 6 equals 9 and 9/10. Again, we're going to turn a 0 pair out of that constant. We want to do that, so we're only left with negative 3x. And we're going to subtract 6 on the other side. Look where I'm putting my 6 in the ones place so I can subtract accurately. So I'm getting 3 and 9/10. You don't want to make a silly error. I definitely sometimes see this happen, and it's just, again, because we're sometimes going too fast. But that doesn't make sense, right? If 9 minus 6, it should be way lower than what we had there, 9.3. Now we're going to isolate the variable. We're down to one step. Divide by your coefficient, negative 3, and x is equal to, and I'm going to just do this out in long division so we can see it. 3 goes into 3 once, decimal. 3 goes into 9 3 times. So remember, this has to be negative 1 and 3/10 because I'm doing a positive divided by a negative. So another place where we can make silly errors. So again, just be careful how you're doing your work. You do have your calculators. If need be, you could always use them as a way to double check your work. Alright, and speaking of check, we check our work. It's just one of the things we do. We're going to put in our value for x. And now we're going to multiply what is negative 3 times negative 1 and 3/10. And we're going to get positive 3.9. And 3.9 plus 6. Yes, if you add those together, you are getting 9 and 9/10 is equal to 9 and 9/10. And again, if you need confirmation, here we go. It is equal to 9 and 9/10. So this is correct. Hit pause so you can jot this down into your notes. We're going to do one more together, just one more. So let's clear up our calculators. This time we have some fractions. So I'm going to just use a smaller pen for this one. We have 8 and 3/5 is equal to negative 4x plus 4 and 3/5. I want to give us a lot of space to work with these fractions. We're going to subtract our constant first. Luckily, this one is simple enough to use. I don't have anything in the fractions, just 0/5. So 4 is 0/5. And we can just leave this as 4. And I see fractions. I want to give ourselves space. So 4 is equal to negative 4x. We're going to divide by our coefficient. Divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. So that leaves us with x on this side. So 4 divided by negative 4. Well, I know 4 divided by 4 is 1. And a positive divided by a negative is negative. So x is equal to negative 1. Let's check our work. 8 and 3/5 is equal to negative 4x plus 4 and 3/5. I'm going to rewrite it again. Negative 4 times negative 1 plus 4 and 3/5. Now I know I have to do my multiplication first. Negative 4 times negative 1 is 4. So 4 plus 4 and 3/5. And now my final part is just adding 4 plus 4 and 3/5 is 8 and 3/5. So 8 and 3/5 is equal to 8 and 3/5. We are correct. So we are done with this problem as well. I gave myself a lot of room because it was fractions and I wanted to take my time to make sure that I didn't make silly mistakes. But our new work, solving two-step equations, we're doing really well at this. Remember, we're dealing with the constant first to make a zero pair, and then we're dividing by our coefficient. Hit pause so you can jot this down into your notes. And let's get more practice, Math Marvels. You can do this. This will take some effort and some thinking to just make sure you're being careful with your work. But I know you'll get better and better the more practice and feedback you get. Take care.